Good afternoon to you. Today we are continuing with the Constitution. In the last class, we dealt with the Election Commission. In between Election Commission, I want to touch an important aspect, that is the three farm bills, that is the bills which are at present in a very much controversial stage, three farm bills which have been given assent by the President in the midst of intensifying protests by the farmers. Remember, a few aspirants, a few students, a few candidates rang me up and wanted to know whether the President has the powers to withhold his assent to the bills, and if so, under which article of the Constitution. In this connection, they drew my attention to the facts that the main farm bill was passed in Rajya Sabha under the voice vote, though the division was demanded by a few members. Many members went to the well of the house, allegedly misconduct. A member has been alleged to have turned off the bill, again a serious infringement of discipline. And a delegation of opposition parties led by leader of opposition Rajya Sabha, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad, met Honorable President and requested him not to accord his assent. These are all the background of the issue. Without going into the political overtones of the issue, let us see only the facts relevant to the Constitution, especially from the examination point of view. Whether Rajya Sabha has the powers, number one. Whether President can withhold his consent, number two. If the bill is not passed by Rajya Sabha, what is the alternative, number three, etc. The three bills were originally the ordinances promulgated by President under Article 123 of the Constitution on 5th June 2020. All examination point of view. What is the article number? 1, 2, 3. President promulgated the ordinance when? 5th June 2020. The three bills which replace the ordinances are, number one, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020. Number two, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill 2020. Number three, the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill 2020. All these three bills have been passed by Lok Sabha and also by Rajya Sabha in the just concluded session last week. It is also to be noted that Union Minister Mrs. Harsimrat Kaur Badal, an MP of Shiromani Akali Dal, one of the oldest allies of BJP, resigned from Modi government in protest against the bill. Now, the overall purpose of the bill, number one, to break the monopoly of the government regulated mandis, that is APMCs. to allow the farmers to sell the produce to private parties, to private buyers, without waiting for APMC. It is also there. You can sell it to APMC also, you can sell it to private parties also. Number 3, to provide legal framework for the farmers to enter into written contract with the companies and produce for them. Number 4, to allow agriculture business people to stock food articles and remove the government's ability to impose restrictions arbitrarily. So, these are all the 4 important purposes of the 3 bills. The first bill is controversial. What is the fear of the farmers? The mandis bring revenue for the state government. When the mandi is not receiving as much as they received now, this will decrease the revenue of the government, which will not be compensated by the center. Number 1, middlemen will be affected. Whether you like it or not, middlemen are there in every business. Tell me one business where there is no middleman, right from the marriage, right from renting a house, right from purchase of the house. Everywhere middlemen will be there. So, the middlemen will be affected and they will be thrown out of job. The real fear is that this will end minimum support price regime. There is an MSP. If the market prices are less than the produce price, then they can go to the APMC and sell it. FCI will procure. That is the market MSP, minimum support price. Now that you are going to the private party, you don't know what is the MSP. The farmers do not have the bargaining capacity to bargain with the big companies. Another defect. No doubt, the farmers have freedom to choose where they want to sell. But unfortunately, they do not have adequate knowledge to negotiate the best terms with the private companies. In addition, there is no regulation outside the mandi and there is no grievance redressal machinery. But remember, according to me, these are not insurmountable problems. No doubt these are problems, but these problems are not so acute. If the government sits with the farmers, especially with Akalis and the Punjab government, this can be easily solved. According to me, I may be wrong. Now, we are not worried about this. We are worried about the constitutional aspects of the issue. Remember, this is a non-money bill. So, both the houses enjoy equal powers. Even if the bill is defeated in Rajya Sabha, as claimed by the opposition, there is a provision under Article 108 of the Constitution for convening joint session of both the houses to resolve the dispute between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now remember, when the joint session is to be convened, number 1, what is the appropriate date? Number 2, all these things are to be decided by the Council of Ministers. Then they will advise the President. Speaker will preside over the sitting of the joint session. Because of the numerical strength, obviously, the will of Lok Sabha will always prevail. For the past, since independence, 3 times the joint session has been held, and all the 3 times the will of Lok Sabha prevailed. So, the passage of the bill, even if there is a joint session, is a foregone conclusion. Now, come to the role of President. President of India is the 3rd constituent of Union Legislature. third constituent of Union Legislature. That is, the Union Legislature consists of President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So, unless these three components agree to a bill, it cannot become an act. In other words, every bill passed by both the houses of parliament has to be assented to by President before becoming an act. It is mandatory. However, remember, the President has got only very limited role. In the case of constitutional amendment bills, under Article 368, President has to give his assent immediately. There is no question of thinking over it. No. There is no chance of any delay in giving consent to a constitutional amendment bill by the President. So this is clear. In the case of money bills and non-money bills, of course, President can withhold his assent. But it is against the provisions of the Constitution, because he is bound by the advice of Council of Ministers, except when there is a legislative incompetence. What is legislative incompetence? Let us say a state is under President rule. President rule has been lifted today morning, and you are introducing a bill, you are passing a bill with reference to that state in the parliament on a state subject. So it is legislative incompetence. Parliament has no power to pass a bill on a state subject when the state government is alive. So when the President rule has been lifted, naturally the state assembly is revived. So there is a state assembly. How can Parliament enact a law on a state subject? That is legislative incompetence for the Parliament. Second is non-observance of legislative procedure. I remember to explain to you, in the case when R. Venkatraman was the President of India, there was an issue. There was a bill having been introduced to make members of Parliament who have completed 1 year eligible for pension. So this is a money bill. Why? The money is paid from the Consolidated Fund of India. So it is a money bill. So money bill before being introduced in Lok Sabha should have been recommended by President of India for introduction. Unfortunately, this bill did not get the recommendation of the President. So the members of the Parliament or the Speaker, as the case may be, whoever it is, they passed the bill. The bill was passed by Lok Sabha, the bill was passed by Rajya Sabha and presented to President. R. Venkatraman refused to give his assent because they have not followed the procedure. So only in these two circumstances, the President can withhold his assent contrary to the advice of the Council of Ministers. Otherwise it is not. The third occasion is, suppose a bill, private member bill, it has been passed by both the houses of Parliament. So both the houses of Parliament has passed a private member bill, it is presented to President, then the Council of Ministers can advise the President on the private member bill, don't give your assent. Again, it is on the advice of the Council of Ministers. Alternatively, again, let us say the government is, the Lok Sabha is dissolved. Before dissolution, let us say the government passed a controversial bill. Controversial bill having been passed by both the houses of Parliament, it is pending with the President for his assent. In the meanwhile, elections announced. An intelligent President will wait. Let us see the outcome of the result of the elections. So he waited. And the new Council of Ministers took over, which is not the same party as was ruling then. So that party which assumed charge new, they advise the President of India, don't give assent. You understood? These are all the occasions where the President can refuse to give assent to a bill having been passed by both the houses of Parliament. Now, in the case of non-money bill, as in respect of bills, there is no question of money bill or non-money bill. All bills are treated as same. In the case of non-money bill, there is one difference is there. In the case of non-money bill, the President of India has a discretion to refer back the bill for reconsideration by both the houses of Parliament. But once the bill is reconsidered and passed by both the houses and tendered again, the President of India has to give his assent. You remember in the case of Office of Profit Bill, as you recall, days after the Parliament rushed through the Office of Profit Bill by the then Congress government, President APJ Abdul Kalam returned the bill to the government without signing it. I understand no official word was available on the reasons for the return. Mr. Kalam seems to have been influenced by the widespread criticism of the elements of the bill, which the constitutional experts termed it as illegal. Many eminent jurists, including Mr. Fali Nariman, criticized the bill, which aims to prevent the disqualification of parliamentarians holding office of profit. In fact, the bill sought to give retrospective effect to the exemptions to the holders of the office. Remember, the bill was again passed by both the houses of Parliament and presented to Mr. Kalam, and he had no alternative except to give his assent. He can know that, except suppose if he insists, if he feels his convictions is more important than the formality, then he has to resign. Why? Because if you see the oath of office, President is the only authority who takes the oath to protect, defend and preserve the Constitution. Remember, from examination point of view, the custodian of Constitution is Supreme Court. But you go through the schedule, oath of office, even Chief Justice of India does not take this oath. Who is to defend, preserve and protect the Constitution? It is the President of India. So he cannot violate the provisions of the Constitution. So he has no alternative except to give his assent. This type of return of the bill for reconsideration is called suspense veto. In this connection, remember from the examination point of view, Mr. Kalam used this provision in which article? Article 111. Remember, Article 111. For the first time, no other president used this provision ever before. Ever before. He is the first president. What is the article number? Article 111. So, now, the present president, Mr. Kovind, did not apply this suspense veto. Because if the bill has been repassed and presented to him again, it would have been embarrassment for him. So he did the right thing at the right time. He did not refer the bill back to the Council of Ministers, both the houses, for reconsideration. There is another veto, pocket veto, which Mr. Kovind might have used. Constitution has not stipulated any time limit for giving assent to the bill by the President. Taking advantage of this absence of provision, the bill could have been kept pending by our President, as Mr. Zail Singh, the then President, did in the case of Indian Post Office Amendment Bill, which he kept pending during his entire tenure. The present President, Mr. Kovind Saab, cannot afford to do this because he will lose the public sympathy and respect. Thus, the bill has now become an act after having been given assent by the President for all the three farm bills. Like the discretion given to the President in Article 111 in referring a non-money bill for reconsideration of both the houses of the Parliament, there is another discretion for President in Article 74. Don't confuse both. The discretion in Article 111 is with reference to the bill, non-money bill. The discretion in Article 74 is totally different. Many of our friends confuse the discretion in Article 111 with the discretion in Article 74. Under Article 74, there shall be a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President, who shall, underline, who shall, in exercise of his functions, act in accordance with such advice. Remember, there is no if and but. 42nd Amendment Act 1976 made it mandatory for the President to act only on the advice of Council of Ministers. To put it bluntly, President of India cannot act without the advice of Council of Ministers, nor can he act contrary to the advice of Council of Ministers. However, 44th Amendment Act 1978 added a proviso to Article 74, under which the President can refer back any advice of Council of Ministers for its reconsideration. However, if the Council of Ministers has reconsidered the advice and tendered again the same advice to the President, then the President is bound by the reconsidered advice of the Council of Ministers. So remember, the return of advice by President to Council of Ministers under Article 74 is totally different from the return of the bill by the President to the Parliament for reconsideration under Article 111. You remember President K.R. Narayanan returned the cabinet advice of imposing President rule in Uttar Pradesh in 1997 and also the cabinet advice on imposing President rule in Bihar in 1998. In 1997, government heeded the advice. In 1998, the government reiterated its advice after 4 or 5 weeks. These cases, I remember, we have discussed already when we dealt with Article 74. So, this is a small brief on the farm bills. And we will continue with the Election Commission in the next class. The candidates who raised the doubt, I am sure this will satisfy their what is known as their anticipation. Thank you.